lovely people, welcome to our weekly reading for the week of the 6th of February. I hope you are all well and I hope you enjoyed my reading last week, and I hope that you are looking forward to seeing what exciting things the cards have to tell us for this week. So let us get started. Right, let's see. So we have the Knight of Cups, we have the Hermit, and we have the Knight of Wands. This is quite exciting. This is a very interesting combination, I have to say. We've got two knights, so we're looking at these tend to be cards of action. And they are also can be aspects of a person, characteristics, or of yourself, or maybe of somebody that is close to you. And then we have the Hermit, which is a major arcana, and the major arcana is that whole psyche that is behind our actions, kind of thing. So, looking at the combination of these cards, we've got Knight of Cups, and then we have the Hermit, which is sandwiched between the Cups, the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Wands. So this would immediately make me think that this is about this is about sort of, it's about decisions actually that need to be made, because we're looking at two very different kinds of characteristics, and on either side of the Hermit. And the Hermit is very much it's about reflection. It's about taking time out to reflect, and we're looking at two kind of action cards. So let's start with the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups would not be, say, as ambitious as the Knight of Wands. I'm probably going to jump backwards and forwards here because the way these cards are, it will sort of need a little bit of that. So the Knight of Cups would not be as ambitious as the Knight of Wands. And you can kind of see that just in the way that the cards are. This card, is not in as great a hurry, and this card looks like it's just rearing to go. This horse is rearing to go. And we're looking at water and fire. And so this card would be more about emotions and creativity, whereas this card is very much about ambitions. It's very much about an urge for freedom, for exploring, and for adventure. So this is very much the travel card of the tarot. And whereas the Knight of Cups would be a much slower pace than say the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Cups is kind of focuses on the choice between cups, and for the cups need to be still, and the Wands desire to push on towards new goals. And the reason for this is because the cups represent water, but it's also the fiery element of water. And so there is the conflict within the Knight of Cups, and that is to be, to be a little calmer, to be still, or to push forward towards new goals. So and the Knight of Cups represents all kind of forms of love. So we'd be looking at romantic love, passionate, platonic, and familial. And there's also a lot of emotional courage with this knight. So this knight is completely confident with his feelings and able to talk about deep and difficult subjects. So this knight teaches us, it appears to teach us, to tell us to be brave and to be open and to allow new experience to take place, take the place of past hurts. So he is an eternal optimist in that the future will be brighter than the times before. So it's very interesting how these cards are all placed here. So if we look at this, then if we look at the Knight of Wands, where this knight wants to travel because he wants to broaden his perspective. And if you look at this uncontained energy and the excitement and the passions that spur this knight onwards. So this is a character that doesn't sit around and think. This is a character that acts. And when this card appears, it's urging you to get out of your routine and experience new things. So the new things that will help you to discover yourself. So this knight would be kind of suited to short bursts of energy because they're the fiery characters of the court cards. And and then you have the Knight of Cups, which is the fiery part of the water. So fire seeks constant movement. It seeks new change. It seeks change. It seeks new challenges. Whereas the water element only moves when pressured, if you like, by an outside force, such as gravity. So without an external influence, water is still. So interesting here. We've got, so there's, this card is telling me that there's a decision that needs to be made here. So it would be like, this is the Knight of Cups that is needing to make a decision which path to go forward, whether to follow through with the water element of this card or the fiery element of this card. And because once a direction is taken, it's kind of hard to go back to the other. So with the cups, we're looking at creativity, we're looking at romance, we're looking at intimacy. And the cups are all about shared group activities and inspiration, and this profound need to find a comfortable place within the community. Whereas the wands, they're very much about challenges, they're about achievements, about competition, success, and trophies. So there's this social element with the wands, but it can be a little bit of a lonely path because they're constantly competing and unconsciously measuring themselves against each other. And so they can be, because of this, they can be a little bit hard to get close to. So these are the sort of big differences between them. And so there's a lot of emotional and spiritual fulfillment with this card, and emotional and tranquility having greater priorities than the trophies of this card, and the financial rewards that you're likely to find with this card. These cups would prefer to be paid less if it means that their career, that their position is more meaningful to them, or if they are inspiring others. So it's it's quite fascinating, really, how these cards have all positioned themselves. And so we would be looking at this knight needing kind of the decisions they must choose between the two paths in order to become either the king, to become king of one of them, and that would be the king. This knight is working towards becoming the King of Cups, or because of that fiery element is working towards becoming the King of Wands. So there is a big decision to be made here, a really big decision. We are looking at, if you look at the knight, if you look at the Wands element, we're looking at conquests and achievement. And this sort of thing is everywhere, whereas the triumph in stillness is a mastery of yourself, of self. So with the water path, we are looking at private accomplishment towards inner peace and contentment. And with the fire path, we are looking towards audience, applause and competition. So which is it going to be? And what is this telling you this for this week? What is it that you're looking for out of your life, and how to, because it is about being authentic, which I know we talked about last week, and I know we talked about the week before. Now, we have the Hermit sandwiched in between here to help make this decision, if you like. And this card represents, say, if you like, a personal winter. So it's time to sit and reflect and to figure out how you have arrived at this current point in life. So you need to understand your past actions in order to understand the consequences of the choices and actions that are helping to shape the plans for your future. And what sort of alternatives might make for a more rewarding direction. So are you looking for inner stillness, or are you looking for accomplishment, competition and freedom and travel and so this is really what you're going to have to ask. Sit still and ask yourself, what is it at this present time in your life that you're looking for? It's necessary, for inner growth. The Hermit represents understanding, and self-reconciliation is necessary to be realistic about where your current path is heading. So, it's not, people can be afraid to sort of sit down and spend time alone to reflect because it can be uncomfortable. But you need to accept all parts of yourself. So you need to accept the selfish part, the greedy, the cold-hearted things that motivated past actions. And because this is all necessary for a balanced self awareness. And the Hermit is about, bringing awareness into our lives, because we all have our shadow sides, and denial only leads to suppression. And this can often then lead to detrimental outbursts. So our shadow side is kind of like that primitive, selfish side that reacts to circumstances, and we're acting really from fear or anger. And if it's suppressed, it can have more control of the outcomes because it remains unseen but subtly active. So it's really important to bring all of this stuff into the light, because hidden motivations, the actions from hidden motivations, especially when they're left unacknowledged, they can be potent forces in derailing a person's life. So for some people, pausing to reflect means that they risk realizing that how much change is required for them to be fulfilled. And this is where it can be really difficult. And this is why often sometimes people will prefer to be watching the television, to be on their electric devices, because there's no connection to other people when we're sort of being entertaining ourselves like that. And avoiding reflection can have unwanted consequences, including repetition of undesirable actions and unwanted results. So this is a big card to be sandwiched between these two cards. This is a big card this is the card that is going to help you make the decisions. And this is the card that is telling you that if you know where you have come from, you will have a much better idea of where you want to go. It's a really good motivator. Being aware allows you to remain centered in the present. And it's in the present where all power of life resides. So it's possible to make changes in the current, in the current moment, that will allow a different perception of the past while clarifying rewarding future decisions. And sometimes it's difficult to see these new opportunities when you're burdened by past beliefs and experience. So the Hermit is not about a physical action in a way that the Knights do tend to be about physical action, but the Hermit is more about the personal strength and inner resolve the personal strength that will resolve inner conflicts. This is what the hermit is about. And we're looking at increased contemplation, and this means less action is required to achieve the same goal. So it's really it's a very thought-provoking card, especially where it is placed, where it's placed right now. And I think it's really interesting too, because with the hermit, when you're looking at wands have a habit of setting goals and striving to achieve them. And this is all part of the process of acting on inspiration to improve life circumstances. Now, if you look at the triangle here, or if you look at the star in the lamp here of the hermit, we're looking at we're looking at the upward part of that triangle is about setting goals. So it's very much a wands thing here. The upper part of that star, which forms this upper part of the triangle, it is about it's about acting and setting goals and striving to achieve them. Whereas the downward part of the star is like the downward part of the triangle, and this represents the water element, and it's about contemplation, and it's about stilling the mind and allowing the body to illuminate what feels right. So this is what I find quite gripping really about these three cards together, because the hermit is holding this, actually holding the cups and the knights. And I love this. I absolutely love it. So the hermit is about compassionate action that occurs when a person is fully aware of their activities and how they affect other people. So we're looking at the actions of the wands and maybe the perception of the cups here. And the two triangles, they're not always easy to balance, because, as I've said, the fire is impatient to make headway and competing with others for attention or glory, whereas the water is about increasing the desire to work with others for shared success. And then we have the fire wants to get it done, and that's what they're all about. They want to just get to it and get it done, whereas water wants to ensure that everybody is happy when it's done. And then you have the fire, which shouts enthusiastically, "I did it!" And the water, declares quite softly, "We did it together." So look, isn't this incredible how this is just, the hermit is showing these two cards here. So the hermit is about reflecting on the consequences of past decisions. When a person is unhappy with the results, it's time to consider a different approach. So lovely people, this is about you looking at your life and looking and seeing, what direction do you want to take? Do you want to continue in the direction that you have? Are you happy with it? Maybe you took this direction, and maybe it's time that you've reached a point where you're going, "Oh, do you know what? I actually want to..." Maybe you took this direction in your 20s or your 30s, and you're going, "Yes, this is, I want to go and conquer the world." And maybe now you have conquered the world, and now you're thinking, "Do you know what? Actually, now I need to get in touch with myself." So when a direction is taken, it is hard to go back to the other. And this is why the hermit is placed here. This is why the hermit is saying, take some time out before you make that decision, because relationships and families and friendships and career and material possessions, they can often be sacrificed when a person, say, reaches their 50s their 40s even, but maybe their 50s, and they decide to choose the other route because one journey leads to achievement while the other to stillness. And maybe they have achieved here and now they want to go to stillness, but they have set up a life that they're going to have to sacrifice possibly to go back to this. And I have seen this happen with people. I have seen it happen particularly, interestingly enough, with men, that they have they've been all gung-ho and have really been big high achievers, and then they've reached their 50s and they've realised, hey, do you know what? Or just not so much realised, but just decided that that's not for them anymore, and they want to change their lives and they want to become still. And what they've done is they've kind of thrown in the towel here and they've dropped everything here and, to pursue this stillness. And of course, if you're at that point in your life, again, you have a decision to make, because you don't always have to drop everything. You can let go slowly here in order to increase this part of yourself. So it's fascinating, a fascinating 3-card reading here, and there's just so much that can be said with this. But I hope I've covered enough for you to want to make you think. And of course, if you want to know more, please do get in touch with me. I'm very happy to do a private reading. So this is our reading for this week, and if it resonates with you, do please leave me a comment below. You can also subscribe to this channel to be notified for the next reading. And if you would like to know more, you can book a private reading with me. And you will find my email in the address in the description below. So lovely people, I'm going to leave you and love you with this very thoughtful, thought-provoking reading. And I will talk to you again next week. Lots of love.